listening to the Community Link crew on GFM 96.6. GFM.
Welcome back to the Community Link show here on GFM 96.6 on this Tuesday, June the 21st, 2011. Okay then, so Roisin Harte, the Grants Administrator with GAVCA, has joined us here in the studio. GAVCA is the Gloucestershire Association for Voluntary and Community Action. Roisin is here to talk about grants for the community organisation. So welcome to the studio.
Thank you. Thanks.
First time at GFM?
Second time.
Second time, okay.
I've been on before a couple of years ago.
Okay then. So Roisin, tell us a bit more then about this. You were telling me off air in the studio that there's £500,000.
What it is, it's called the Performance Reward Grant Fund, and it's a pot of money which has come to Gloucestershire from central government, and it's a reward for partnership working. So where the voluntary and community sector has been involved in partnership working in the county, this is a chunk of reward money which is coming specifically for voluntary and community groups. What this fund is going to be used for is it's going to be used to invest in long-term services for voluntary and community groups to increase their sustainability. So hopefully to make groups more effective in the long term, better able to work together. And really we're just encouraging people to look at the information on the website, see if they've got some ideas that they could apply for, and just bear in mind that the closing date is the 11th of July.
Okay then, so what type of organisations or groups are eligible to apply?
It's not for profit, so any voluntary or community organisation is eligible to apply. The minimum grant is £10,000, so you do have to have fairly robust sort of financial procedures in place. You have to have audited accounts, you have to have a constitution and good governance. So if you can tick all those boxes about being basically a well-run organisation, and if you have some really innovative ideas for how the voluntary and community sector can be more effective and in the long term sort of work better as well, then certainly any not-for-profit organisation can apply.
Is this the first time a grant has been made available, or
this is it's a new and one-off pot of money, and so basically it was attached to the local area agreement, which was about partnership working in the county, and that was there was a local area agreement between voluntary and community groups and public sector partners, so the county council, district councils, NHS Gloucestershire, public sector partners working with voluntary and community groups, and that was between 2008 and 2011. And this little pot of, well, actually big pot, I should say, this pot of money is a reward for that sort of good partnership working and hitting targets that came out of that period of working together.
Okay then, so what you said a little bit about it before, but what type of organisations does it cover? Anything for you said not for profit, but,
yeah. Well, basically the outcome of the fund is about investing in long-term services and increasing the effectiveness, as we said, of voluntary and community groups. So really, I can give some examples, but in a sense I'm kind of reluctant to be a bit too prescriptive, because in a way, if you can prove that what you're thinking of will meet that outcome, then actually it's worth sort of putting in an application. But it might be something, for example, an organisation might have a building, they might want to convert that building to make it more accessible to a wider range of voluntary and community groups. That could be one possibility. The fund is actually divided into £150,000 for capital applications, so that would be about buildings or perhaps shared equipment or tangible things, and £350,000 which would be for revenue projects, and that might be for like a training course. If you could think of some training that the voluntary and community sector might need that would make them in the long term more effective, it might be around financial sustainability, or it might be around management and how groups are actually run. And if you could show that through your application in the long term groups would actually be much more effective, then that could be another idea. But again, it could be anything, and in a way my examples are quite limited, but some groups out there might have some really innovative ideas for, they might have been thinking, actually, do you know what the voluntary and community sector needs? We really need this. And if you can kind of put that down on paper, and if it can fit the criteria, then why not?
You said that people can find out more information on the website. Is that including, can they download an application form?
Yeah, the guidelines for applicants and the application form are available on the website. There's also a frequently asked questions page, which I think is really useful because it's the sorts of questions we've been being asked by groups, and we're putting them all up on the website so that everybody can benefit from that information. So do check out that frequently asked questions website as well. And we have got a Twitter account as well. Shall I give the web address?
Yes, please, if you could.
Yeah, it's www.gloshub, that's gloshub.org.uk, and the Twitter is at PRG Fund Glos. That's for PRG for Performance Reward Grant.
Okay, then, so people can follow along on there as well.
Yeah, and there is also a second pot of money of 143,000, which will be coming out later in the summer, and that will be for small grants. So that will be more about for organisations looking for funding for their own organisation rather than for the wider sort of voluntary and community sector. So that's something to watch out for as well. And information about that will be updated on Twitter or on the website as well.
I was just about to ask you actually what would happen if people, you know, if they weren't successful in going for the grant. So there is this
there is a second pot of money, which is also the total reward fund for Gloucestershire, for the Gloucestershire voluntary and community sector, was actually 643,000. So the first chunk is being used for investing in long-term services, and the second chunk, although the criteria haven't been finalised yet, but it's likely to be used for small grants for organisations as well, but probably still with the same thinking in mind about making organisations more sustainable.
How have organisations reacted so far then?
Well, there's been a lot of interest actually, and from a really diverse range of organisations, from some very small organisations who are thinking of getting together with other organisations and doing something in their particular locality, and you know, to obviously bigger organisations who this is their kind of work that they do anyway, about sort of support for voluntary and community groups generally. So there's been a real you know, there has been a real sort of diversity of inquiries, really.
Wonderful.
Which is great.
Brilliant. Georgia?
Yeah, I was just going to say, is the money like going to be divided by different groups? Like will some go to like helping the elderly, some the young people kind of thing, or will it just go to whoever needs it kind of thing?
Well, basically, there is an independent panel who will be overseeing the applications. I should say that GAVCA is the administration agency, and I'm the administrator, but obviously we won't be involved in. I'm just doing the sort of paperwork and the publicity. We won't have anything to do with actually deciding who gets allocated. You know, the fund. So your question was, will it be like, for example, a certain amount go for older people or for children and young people? The answer is no. I mean, it's basically there's no restriction as long as it's meeting the outcome about supporting voluntary and community organisations. And the key thing to think about is, if you're thinking of putting in an application, will my application make other voluntary and community groups more effective? That's the thing to bear in mind. So it's actually about how organisations are run, how organisations work, and how they might network, how they might collaborate, that sort of thing.
Wonderful. Thank you very much for that question there, Georgia. So could you give us the contact details and the web address once more, please, Roisin?
Sure. The website is www.gloshub.org.uk. My telephone number is 01452 336 273, and the Twitter is at PRG Fund Glos. So it's the Performance Reward Grant Fund.
And like you said, just from your examples, don't limit yourself. You know, just get involved. At least
sky's the limit.
Wonderful. Thank you very much for coming into the studio, Roisin. And hopefully you'll be back again soon.
I hope so. Thank you.
You're listening to the Community Link Crew on GFM 96.6. GFM.